and welcome back to AR77. Today we are talking about grips, and in particular pistol grips. Now don't get too excited. The gun you see on the table here is one that I forgot I even had. It's a very old, decades old in fact, a spring-powered airsoft pistol, and obviously it's a replica of a Desert Eagle. I forgot I even had it. But I found it when I was rooting through some old boxes the other day, and actually it makes a very good point for this particular video. When you're buying a real firearm, the assumption would be that you'll want to make sure you have something that is comfortable to hold, fits well in the hand, feels kind of ergonomically suited to the size of your hand, because that gun, that pistol, is either serving a very important purpose. Maybe it's for your job. Maybe you're allowed to carry a pistol of your choosing, in which case it wants to feel as natural as possible, or you're going to put a lot of time into training with it so it feels as natural in your hand as possible, and you're used to how it kind of fits with you and your style of shooting, I suppose. Or maybe it's just for a hobby, at which point, if it's a real firearm, ammunition isn't so cheap and so affordable that you want something that you're going to have to get over the hurdle of how it feels every time you shoot it. Or maybe it's it's for a defense or something like that, in a country where you're allowed to carry, or you're allowed to have one of these in your home for self-defense, which isn't here in the UK, but around the world that might be the case. And you want something that is just like putting on a pair of old socks. It just feels at home as soon as you grab that thing in your hand, and you're not having to climatize every time you pick it up. So for all of those reasons, you'll want something that suits you. When you're looking at something like a replica airgun, it comes with the assumption that you're wanting to own something that looks like that particular gun. So in this case, the Desert Eagle. So you kind of accept it. You don't go, oh, does it suit me? Unless perhaps you're playing airsoft or something like that, I guess. But for the most part, it's, well, I want it to be like a Desert Eagle, so I will accept what it is like. And that was why I bought this, or I wasn't even thinking like that when I bought this. I just wanted something that looked like the Desert Eagle that I see in all those fantastic films and games and whatever. So I buy the Desert Eagle, but it never really sat comfortably in my hand. And like I say, this is only a very lightweight kind of plastic, flimsy, well, it's not too flimsy, it's quite well built, but it's quite a plasticky, lightweight replica of a Desert Eagle. And as such, the grip is quite sort of this way, kind of broad, and it never really sat very comfortably in my hand. I don't mind a large pistol grip. I think Beretta really have quite large grips. And I don't mind it being pretty straightforward in terms of it being quite flat. I don't mind that either. I don't mind the 1911 grip, but it never really sat that comfortably in my hand. Having said that, I do still want to get hold of one of the 177 caliber pellet versions by Umrex, because it would be nice to have a pellet shooting Desert Eagle, and I will accept it, warts and all. But there are allowances that we find ourselves having to make when it comes to pistols. Here's another classic example that you've heard me talk about, and I've heard you in the comments kind of talk about these Colt Pythons. I really like the gun. I like this kind of chrome finish. But if the gun has a drawback, the single biggest downside of this gun for me is the grip. It looks almost like a kind of faux wood, but not quite. Not when you're up close and personal like that. It doesn't look woody at all. It looks completely plastic. Wood effect grips, I think, I would say, have come a long way since Umrex brought out the Colt Python here. But the grip is a compromise. I would much prefer, for example, a traditionally shaped Colt Python style grip, rather than this, which looks like I think almost it's kind of trying to represent the what's it called, the professional style grips, the Pachmeyer. Right, okay, so how do we say this word? Is it Pachmeyer? Is it Pashmeyer, Pachmeyer, Pachmar, Pachmer? I don't know. I could go on forever. That could become an obsessive thing, so I'm going to stop saying that. yeah, feel free to tell me in the comments how you pronounce it, but I'll throw up a picture here, and you can see that it's essentially the same type of grip. It's the same sort of, they call it the professional style. Some people would call it like a combat grip, I suppose. It's got the sort of finger indents here. But I would much prefer again, I'll put up a different picture of the more traditional style grip on the Colt Python. So it's a bit of a letdown in a way. Don't get me wrong, it's not enough to ruin the gun for me. I still love this gun, but it is, as I said before, a compromise. It's also quite plasticky. Now, hard plastic grips on a pistol aren't necessarily always a bad thing. For instance, if I was to bring in my Umrex Legends S25, this is obviously the 2.5, I was going to say 2.5 litre engine, but this is the 2.5 inch barrel pellet pistol. These grips are also quite plasticky and sound hollow, but part of that is because of the function that they serve. Obviously, you keep in this gun, you keep your CO2 in there, and it is a bit of a flimsy grip. It is a bit plasticky, but at least it serves a function. It keeps your CO2 hidden away in there, and you've got this kind of stippling on the grip there. They are nicely shaped. You can see they've got a nice figure, if you will. Let's not do that too long. And the finger grooves again, or the indentations, or whatever they're called, do make it feel really comfortable in the hand. It's a really nice pistol or revolver to hold, is the S25 or the S40 or the Crossman, whatever it's called, P27 something, or the Winchester revolver, or the Dan Wesson. I don't know if I've said them all now, but they're all much of a muchness, and the grip is a pleasure to hold. And when you do have it in your hand like that, it's solid enough, you know. And it's not just as kind of hard finished and shiny plastic as some others. It's almost rubberized, but not quite. Other people might describe it as rubberized, but it's not. But it is kind of a like a dull plastic. It feels a bit more rubbery than the hardness that you get on the Colt Python. So that's quite a step in the right direction. Also, when we're talking about hard grips, it would be kind of remiss of me not to mention the MP9 Model 2 by Smith & Wesson. These grips here, obviously you can change out this kind of back strap there. You can change that out, the rear portion of the grip, and put different sized ones on. This is also quite hard plastic, but what I do like about this one is it's got a really aggressive grip pattern. It's like grip tape on a skateboard. So when you're holding that, that's not going to leave your hand, even if it were in kind of bad weather. You know, if you're getting sweaty hands, or it was getting rainy, and if you had an airsoft version of this and you're running around a field, that's not necessarily going to be leaving your hand anytime soon. It's a hard grip, but it's a really nice rugged grip, I would say, with that kind of stippling, almost grip tape like pattern on there. So all that having been said, let's look at some guns that I would say have a comfortable grip, that are, like I said before, a genuine pleasure to hold and to shoot. And of course, there's more than these available. These are just guns from my own personal collection. So the logical place to start would be with the more modern Dan Wesson replica, the 715, and you can just tell by looking at it that the way I always describe this grip is it's like somebody's got a piece of plasticine or putty or something and just squeezed it and then gone like that, and that's the shape you're left with. It feels so natural in your hand. It's a really lovely, solid, chunky, grippy grip. That's always useful in a grip, if it's grippy. Again, you've got this stippling, and you've got it's a more of a rubbery finish to the Umrex Legends S25 or the earlier Dan Wessons, or I'm not going to go through the whole list again. But it's a more solid feeling grip, because although the CO2 is housed in there, it's not that kind of hollow. I mean, I don't need to show you this. I've shown you before. It's not 100% hollow, as in there's a lot of metal going on around here. You can see that there's kind of filled in a lot more than the other one because it doesn't have to swing back and out of the way. But that is a really, really lovely grip. I know that I've said there a few times it's not hollow, and it blatantly is, but I think you get my meaning. And if you don't, then well, that's on me. Lovely grips on the Dan Wesson 715, a definite improvement, softer and more rubbery. While we're on the revolvers, I should also point out a similar kind of feel is the Smith & Wesson 629 Classic. This has got that more modern kind of combat style feel to the grips, and again, where your fingers just reach into that grip, it just really does feel like an absolute pleasure to hold that gun. I've not had my hands on the M29. I know that's got a more traditional style of grip than the 629, but yeah, this feels really lovely, really good. And again, it's similar. It's just a slightly different styling to the Dan Wesson 715. It's got a kind of a chunkier bottom portion to it. But yeah, no, it feels really good. It's quite a long grip, actually, quite a big grip, but I guess it's quite a big gun. So if you've got a larger hand, that might be something you might want to consider. Really nice, again, soft, rubbery, and a nice finish to those grips. Okay, moving on to the pistols then, the kind of the semi-autos. One of my favourite guns to hold and to shoot when I get it out is the CZ75 SP01 Shadow, and you can see there's just little details, just like when it just notches out there a little bit, and you can see again it's got a lovely profile, lovely figure to it, just kind of out and in, and when you hold that in your hand, it is so comfy. Once again, it's got that kind of rubberized finish to it. I don't know if you're going to pick up on that sound, but it's a really rubbery kind of, not spongy, it's still solid, but it's a nice kind of rubbery feel to that grip. And I guess the term is ergonomically, that is a really pleasurable gun to hold. There's nothing crazy going on at the front here with there's none of the finger grooves or anything like that, but it does push back into the palm nicely. And with that notch out there, well, it's not a notch, is it? It's like a bump. Let's call it a bump. Let's get scientific. With that bump, it does feel really good in the hand. Really nice pistol all ways round. Let's do a bit of that. Can't ever get bored of racking the slide on a gun, can I? Okay, where else should we go? Okay, this is another great feeling gun. This is my PPQ M2. Phenomenal feel to the grips on this. This is my kind of 43 cal T4E edition, training for engagement. I don't have the pellet version or a BB version of this. This is the PPQ that I have. It's the reason I didn't get the M2, the PPQ M2 pellet version, because I feel like I've already kind of got it. Although, never say never. I've almost got enough guns, and I think that will remain the case for the rest of my life, however many I buy. But yeah, again, ergonomically, this pushes right nicely back into that piece of your sort of hand there, and you've got nothing too extravagant, nothing too extreme there, just a really nice profile to the front of that grip. And again, you can see that it's coming kind of swinging out, and it's got these bumps down the side there. It just seems to really fit nicely in your hand. Now, it might be that that's just my hands. I mean, I've heard other people say lovely things about these grips. But if you've got enormous hands, or if you've got tiny hands, it might not feel as good for you as it does for me. But I would say pick one of these up, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to sort of criticise the grip on the PPQ. I think it's a really good, comfortable, holdable grip. Okay, now for all that, I would still say that the most comfortable gun I have to hold in my hand is this. This is the HK VP9. And I think although the Dan Wesson feels great, the PPQ feels great, the CZ, whatever you want to call it, the VP9 for me particularly, I think, has to be the most comfortable gun. That opinion has probably changed over the months, but as I stand before you here today, the VP9 is the most comfortable grip of all the guns that I have. For me, again, you've got those finger grooves there. It pushes back, not dissimilar to the Walther, the shape of the Walther grip. You can see very, very similar kind of shape. You've got the profile at the front there. You've got it just pushing back. I think this pushes back just a touch higher than the Walther, which is probably why it just edges it in terms of comfort for me in particular. Once again, can't help myself. Yeah, the VP9 for me is, I would say, hands down, in my opinion, the most comfortable gun I have to shoot and to hold in my collection. It's not my favourite gun to shoot. It is just, I would say, yeah, definitely the most comfortable to hold. And because of that, every time I get it out, I get it in my hand and I go, oh yeah, I forgot how good that feels, how natural it feels. It's like an extension. Yeah, a really, really lovely gun to hold, the HK VP9 there by Umrex. Notable mention, or notable mentions, plural. Anything that has a clever grip, I think, is a nice thing to have on a replica gun. For instance, the Glock 19 that has the tool attached, and even well before that came out, my old trusty Walther PPS kind of Mark 1. I love this little gun. It's fantastic. But that has, it's just a stick mag, but that has a pretty decent grip. Because it's such a small gun as well, it really benefits from having that kind of broader grip. It doesn't feel, when it's in your hand, it doesn't feel like you're holding a tiny gun, even though it's really modest and kind of narrow. It's a really good gun to hold. And I like the fact that you have your tool, like the Glock, but preceding the Glock 19, you have your tool ready to go for your CO2 in the back there. So yeah, shout out to the grips that are a little bit clever and do a little bit more than just letting you hold the gun. And one final shout out, and this is to a non-replica air pistol. This is to the Umrex T4E HDP 50, the Home Defense Pistol 50, although we're not allowed to use it for home defense. Go figure. But anyway, yeah, this has also a really comfortable grip. Again, you can see the finger spacers at the front there, and it pushes out into the palm at the back. It feels very similar. I might have said this before. Feels very similar actually to the VP9. If I bring that back onto the table, you can see it's taken a couple of kind of style cues from the VP9. You can see with the way it ridges around there, you can see they've kind of copied that design element there. And if I overlay it, it's very similar in terms of when it juts out there. So I wonder if they've kind of, let me get it central for you. I wonder if they've kind of been, how would you say it, inspired by the VP9 when creating the grip on the HD P50 home defense pistol in 50 cal. So yeah, another just a bit of a shout out to a non-replica but a very comfortable gun to hold and to shoot. A lot of fun these, but hands down I would say the winner has to be the VP9. There you go, just another one of those random musings, I guess, about grips on pistols. Something that doesn't really occupy a lot of my thought or my time, but you do notice when you pick up a gun that's a bit more comfortable. And who knows, maybe if you're looking for a real steel counterpart to any of these guns, this might help inform your decision there also. Or if you're looking at an airsoft version and it's something you want to, as I said before, hang on to and run around a field and get really quite comfortable with. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Please do take care. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. All the very best.